Welcome to another episode of the Pennock Knockdown, a podcast where we unpack key strategies and tactics for digital marketing leaders. We've got Mia Umanos on the show today. She is the CEO of ClickVoyant. It's a Techstars-backed analytics company that turns marketing data into clear, actionable insights and fast. She leads a team that acts as a turnkey analytics department for DTC brands like For Love and Lemons, Ursa Major, and many others, helping them uncover what's working, what's not, and what to do next. ClickVoyant also white labels analytics services to other agencies like Gamma Waves and eHouse. It's partners with CRO platforms like Shoplift and Visually to deliver insights that directly improve conversion rates and campaign performance. Mia, I had the pleasure of going through one of your boot camps last year, and so I know everything I just described there in your bio firsthand because you are so articulate and clean with the data insights and just how to leverage and use data that it's just like a breath of fresh air for an industry that feels so complicated. So I'm so excited to have you today and get into a lot of this stuff.
Thank you. Thank you for saying that. That really gives me life. I think analytics is, a lot of people tend to ignore it because it's just like, oh my God, this is too complicated. So let me just go stick my head in the sand. But making it really easy and digestible in bite-sized formats is definitely my superpower.
I love it. Well, and I think when you say that, what's resonating with me too is like you work in lifestyle, you work in fashion, you have beauty brands, and like the people who predominantly are attracted and gravitated towards those industries are not like data monkeys who really want to like understand the nuances of what's behind the major numbers. So I think you've squarely kind of found this white space that's so perfect for you. But tell us, what were you doing before ClickVoyant? How did you get here?
I think people who are in our position come either from brand or from agencies. So mine was the agency flavor, where I was way back in the day the person to create QBR reports, which then could turn into the dashboard, which then turned into tagging. And so, I've been doing this since MySpace was my only social media platform that I had. You can go see it if you Google Mia Umanos. But basically through that entire like 20-year career, people just ignore the website. Like there's so much data now for like paid media, socials, affiliate, and now TikTok live shopping. Like it's just too much. And so I found that my entire team when I worked at big agencies was getting really dragged into either paid media or anything new. We're going to make our own social media platform. If you remember those days, everyone's making their own. We're going to make our own socials. We're going to make our own mobile app. We're going to do TikTok live and all this stuff. We're just like focused our human resources on finding everything new. And then we forget like the table stakes, which is like, what do people do when they get to my store? And it just goes completely unnoticed in so many brands that I was like, you know what? Chuck it all. I'm going to leave my very lucrative big agency job, build an AI that analyze shopper behavior analysis, just like the way that you would do it. They're following you at the grocery store and Whole Foods and stuff, right? But dwell time, what you put back, what you put in your cart, what you take out, that all matters. And e-commerce isn't tracking it like that. Maybe big brands like Hoka running shoes or something, but certainly not anybody under 100 million in annual revenue. They just don't have the resources.
That's how you got there. And I don't know your whole backstory, so I didn't realize you were kind of squarely on the agency side. And like, kudos to you for staying agency for so long. It can be so challenging, right? So what then was the reason for starting ClickVoyant? Like, why did you go out on your own?
The first impetus was knowing that so much of the shopper behavior analysis was getting ignored. The second thing was I ran very lucrative CRO programs for big companies where we were just finding things out. If we weren't winning at conversion rate optimization, we were learning so much about who she was that had so many reverberations around the entire funnel. But when you get at this other, Shopify level, I would say that 10% of stores are experimenting with the landing pages even, or what to put on a product detail page, or how to comport a collections page in a way that merchandises your best sellers or your highest margin products. Those are just things that they don't even think about. And if they are, the 10% that are, using like a Visually or a Shoplift, they're not doing it in a scientific way. Data science part of what experimentation is, which is science, is just left out. So it's like, we're guessing and we're going to try this, or we're just going to try things that were on our e-commerce roadmap anyway. Let me just A/B test it to see if it works. That's not a CRO strategy. So my drive is to help educate. As you've seen, it's like to educate on what it looks like to have a scientific engineering mind about e-commerce product and to do it cheaply. It's like data science resources are so freaking expensive. And even then, half of them, no, more than half of them don't know how to talk to a person. So just comporting the AI to help deliver at a very price that's like competitive to what you would pay somebody to just do a dashboard. That's my drive. That's the mission.
I love it. I think my in-house jobs kind of skewed to the environment you're talking about, where like we had the most technical person there, but their job was so many things that they were pulled in all the directions. So I can't say we've ever been part of a team that did it well when I was in-house, or even prior agencies to the agency I've got now here at Pennock. When it is done in-house, like how are teams stacked up? Like, is it someone on the e-commerce side who's doing this? Is it someone in a different department? Like, how have you seen this work successfully in either the partnerships you've got or just observations of brands that really are doing it well without outside support?
I've had this hypothesis that the brands that do this really well are actually the brands who are like Dollar Shave Club is like, we were started by a MBA, a Harvard MBA, decided that she wanted to quit her job and then do this like skincare line. And they just like a well-oiled machine. The companies that don't do well are those that are like, I just want to make a beautiful product. Or I started out, I really care about like what's in the suntan lotion or did I just like say suntan lotion? Oh my god, I'm old. Sunblock for my kid. I want to know what's in there, and that's where they begin. So they don't really have this understanding of the mathematics behind customer acquisition and how to optimize. So in-house, what this looks like is not perfect. Sometimes you have the e-commerce team, which is also like very loaded. We don't know what that means, but the flavor of e-commerce team would be like, I'm operations. I am here to put SKUs on the site, to merchandise it. I'm in charge of the performance. And that team will buy the CRO tools and run tests. But there's like a marketing team who's like lives over here. So the e-commerce operations people are in charge of CRO, but they don't always have in control or not in concert with who's sending the traffic. So lots of disconnects happen there. For example, one of our clients is a jewelry client, and we're like, oh, like searches for bracelets went up when they come land on your homepage. Like, what could be behind that? Because your bestsellers are necklaces. Like, why did this increase 30%? And it was because the paid media team had like a bracelet stack on their paid media, and like they were just sending the homepage. Like, oh damn, what a missed opportunity here to actually get her to what she needed to see in that moment to close. That scenario where it's like landing page and traffic generation strategy is rare. And I think that that's where the opportunity is for agencies. Like, no, landing page optimization belongs to maybe not CRO of the whole site or navigation, but the landing page optimization and testing of where you're sending your traffic to belongs to performance. It belongs to affiliate. And that's the hill that I keep trying to die on. It's we do get so siloed and we forget, but I mean, you can just see it in the math when the harmony is all there.
Right. Well, and it's hard for like some of us siloed teams, right? Like we do the paid media, we do the creative recommendation and like creative briefing rather to the clients, and we do some of the landing page stuff in Vermont or Try Because, but otherwise we're just kind of like, hey, can we make a new version of your product detail page? And sometimes it's just like a recommendation that doesn't land. And it's hard because it's like, well, we want to be really disciplined and good in our expertise. But in 2025, like good in just our lane is like not sufficient enough.
No, and I think honestly, like moving into this, whatever they're calling, I mean, a recession is like, your temperature. You either have one or you don't. But
Hmm.
like we're at like 97 degrees or something like that. And
Hmm.
every dollar is way more competitive to get. And so I think that that's what we're going to find,
Yeah.
the separation between those who make it through whatever this tariff thing is going to do to us are the ones who are figuring out how to comport. Like, we need to show up in the way that she needs to see us to show up by how we're driving the traffic. So TBD, we'll see what separates the men from the boys, to use an outdated term too.
Well, speaking of that, I would love to get into what are you observing is changes in the landscape and like maybe some that haven't even really happened yet that you're looking forward to before the year is over.
Well, I think that one thing that I do know, because we have an AI that analyzes data and shopper behavior data, but we also, with our services, provide CRO services. So we do the engineering of behavior, and we are partnered with all these other products, Visually, Shoplift, VWO. Like, we're agnostic to the tool that we're going to use. But just based on like how these companies have grown, that's my indicator that more e-commerce companies are willing to dip a toe in the water or begin in earnest. Because I think the path of experimentation can be a rocky start. It's like, oh, well, I bought this product for $300 a month and we only ran one test a quarter, and it's not worth it. I'm like, well, you churned before you really got the value out of it, because like it's not a silver bullet. And at the same time, just the sheer volume and the growth of these partners, it gives me hope that we're starting to wake up as an industry that experimentation does matter. We might not know how to do it, but it's like we've invented fire and we're just trying to figure out how to use it properly. And there are some that are nervous. Like, here's an example. Every single tool, Nikki, has like this little slider that says, do I send this to 10% of my traffic, or do I, if I have a variant, can I put it to 10 or 50? I mean, it always should be a 50-50 split. That's what statistics is. If you don't do a 50-50 split, it's like, it's not a test. You can't know for certain what happened. And yet that feature exists on all tools. And I literally think it's because of fear. It's just like, I'm not really willing to stick my neck out. We've got a client who's like, I never want to do tests during sales. I got another client who's like, we always want to test sales. And the culture is just so different from one company to the next. But I think that that's what we'll start to see by the end of 2025. And my personal goal is to start educating. So we have a digital course coming out for not just for the GA class, but also for CRO. So yeah, I hope to be an open ear to anybody who wants to be like, what's going wrong with my program?
Yeah. I'm sure businesses find you at all stage of their life journey, et cetera. But like, where's a really sweet spot where we could say, like, if you're experiencing XYZ, Mia and her team are like the perfect people to go work with next?
When we close, it's usually because we've grown as a company. Revenue started to plateau. Conversion rate is going down and we don't know why. We have spent the same, we increased our ad spend, but we haven't increased our revenue. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like when all of these issues come up, these triggers, like something is wrong, the only other place that you can optimize when you've optimized everything else, the only other place that you can think about is like, okay, we need to start looking at our website. We need to start looking at our store experience. We need to start looking at our mobile experience. Like, that's, for your listeners, like if there's one tip, just start working in your site, looking at it from a mobile perspective,
Right.
because they sit down at their laptops and work on product detail page and you don't realize 80% of your traffic is coming to mobile.
Right. It's
you
so
might be
true.
shooting yourself in the foot with some design decisions.
Yeah, that look good on desktop. Are you finding that there's like a size of like yearly revenue where things start to create more opportunity for teams like yours to come in? Is the friction point like they start to see diminishing return when they're like X in size? I'm just curious.
This is a funny question because it's like a return is making the assumption that we're going to go up and up and up all the time. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And that's actually not what conversion rate optimization is doing. It's like, how can we maximize the revenue at any point in time? So going into tariff implication season or whatever that means for your business, CRO is not going to be able to like lift you out of your margin hell. Right. But
Right.
it is there to maximize the revenue that you can get on the eyeballs today. So companies like, I did speak with a woman who, some companies just don't have, like Caraway. I don't think ever really had somebody, bigger companies. And then there's another company that I met that is 5 million in annual revenue, and they have a CRO manager. They have a CRO manager. So 5 million annual revenue, like and we have some people who came out of my class who are startups that are like, I'm going to make this a part of my regular because at a startup company, you can't just throw money out there and not know how they showed up on your landing pages. So I think it really, when you say like, what is the benefit? The benefit is that you're constantly experimenting and maximizing the revenue that was going to come in today. It's not always like we're going to constantly increase our conversion rate from 3 to 10%. You can only go so far. But there are certain companies that are like, well, this is a part of our operations so that we can constantly know. We have a client that's for wellness SKUs, and they have like 12 tests a month because it's like, well, now we're testing the summer body. And then we want to do summer body, like men versus women, 45 and up and 45 and down. And they are very scientific about that funnel for SKUs. We have other companies that are just like, we sell soap. And we have different scent. They're like testing scents and scents campaigns. So it really is like the return is the learning about your business, the learning about your customers, and the maximizing of profit in the moment. So it's like, sometimes agencies will go out there and be like, if you do a CRO program with me, we can return 10% lift in your revenue. And it's probably a lie, honestly. Like you just never know what's going to happen. Right? AI could come take 50% of people's jobs next week. And what are we going to do? How are we going to CRO our way out of that?
Right. No, that's hard. That's probably not the best way to sell in for sure. What are you finding like in the ad landscape? Machine learning is everything. AI driven audiences is where it's at, which means we don't really control who's new to the brand and who is already very familiar with the brand. Are you finding the same stuff in site analysis or is there still like a clear journey path the new user versus a repeat user should be taking, like on average?
Yeah, it's a little bit different because in an ad, a universe of ads, you're working with third-party cookies, right? But
Hmm.
in the universe of CRO, like you're working with like first-party cookies. So it's people who are behaving on your website and also your Shopify customers. So you can do like more segmentation with that data set, more targeting with those data sets, like, even visually will allow you to target based on your customer cohorts inside Shopify. So if this person is a loyal who opens every email, you can target a specific experience for them. And that alleviates a lot of like development stress, right? Like yes, it's a $2,700 a month tool or something like that to begin, but the power that you get out of it is the exchange. Like you don't have to pay for those development hours making like hundreds of collections pages.
Yeah, I feel like the trade-off of tool, external team to revenue is really hard to get some team members on board. And I think you were just saying earlier on that even a $300 a month tool, people might cut it after a quarter if it's only been used once and they never fully recognized it. Are you doing any, as you're selling and kind of like negotiating upsells, et cetera, are you backing into, I know you said we don't want to say things like 10% CRO lift and stuff like that, but how do you get the teams to buy in quickly to your services?
Well, the buy-in is usually coming from our approach. So CRO package flavors out there are like, we're a developer. So we're a developer company and we know how to make code, right? Or
Mhm.
we're UX and design people. So we know what the strategy should be for visual treatments.
Yeah.
But our unique sauce is that it's science. It's the science base. Like neither of these two, no shade on what they do because
Yeah.
that's important, but experimentation is a science. And so when there's no perceived value from what they got, it's because not only could you not win, but you are not knowing why you weren't winning. You don't know why your tests were failing. You don't even have a data rooted hypothesis. It's like, let's just try this because my competitor did it, right? And then it's like, well, it didn't work. Why? If you don't have the resources to dive into the science for the behavioral economics between A versus B, then you're coming up with no answers. So when we talk about our process, we're like, look, if you think you're going to do what your competitor's doing, or like test a couple different best practices, we're already saying like, I'm going to call bullshit because that's already obsolete. And why would you want to do something that your competitor is doing? Because like, isn't the game to differentiate?
Yeah.
And so like really tiny little things, like for example, on a dress company, if you have like, lots of SKUs of dresses and you're like, you know what it's like to shop for a dress. It sucks. It's like online, you're
Mhm.
on your phone, they're like a 2 up collections page and you just can't see shit. And just having a small innovation like a 1 up, which just allows you to see more detail, you can see like who is actually interfacing with a 1 up and where they're pausing to be able to get more detail on that and test. Now we have a hypothesis.
Right.
So versus like, I think we should move the button up, you know,
Right.
not to say that that's not a bad test, but I'm just saying like it's the reasons behind, it's the process, and it's also the science. And I think we can deliver that because we have the AI that we built to do that kind of thing. Whereas it would typically take somebody maybe 50 or 60 hours to do that analysis. At that point, like working with an agency that's like $100 an hour, it's cost prohibitive, which is very
A
corporate terms.
100%. Yeah, that's a good way to look into it. I'm just like trying to put myself in your shoes and hiring your staff and team, and like it's a really specialized skill set that you squarely need to like fill into these roles. How do you describe your team staffing and like just onboarding of like your SOPs, your way of thinking through things? What does that look like? I'm just curious.
Well, for staffing, so I don't know if you knew this, but I'm Filipino American, and we have a team in the Philippines who actually help take the call. So ClickVoyant's official journey was from I was a director of analytics at big agencies. I made the software, I shepherded the software to the world, and Google Analytics 4 came. And
Mhm.
nobody had the right data. So like they were like, your software's broken. I'm like, no, you have no shopper behavior data in your GA. So that's how I started. That's how the class started. Is like, look, this is a DMP. You basically have a free tool that allows you to understand every click and swipe that's happening in your store. And yet you turn on a pixel, said you were done. But it's really only 10% of the pass. So we have a team in the Philippines that actually implements that data. And then the AI does the work of data analysis, CRO road mapping, test analysis. There's a lot of education to do. The Philippine team also takes that product from their AI and then says, let me help you interpret it. So my dream, like having a team in the Philippines, which I mean, if you lost your password to your bank, you were talking to a Filipino person. My goal is to make analytics so accessible, to make it so normal to hear a Filipino voice on the other line, because I mean, number one, English is really good. Number two, it's a capitalist country, so they understand shopping. And three, it is made affordable. Like our clients are spending, our lowest package is $750 a month, which is the same as like another analytics software that you might like, some dashboard that you're ignoring right now.
Yeah, yeah. Very
Right? And
true.
it's like, oh, but now you get to meet with somebody. You get a detailed analysis that would typically take 50 or 60 hours to do, and a roadmap. Like, here are some tests you can try. And now if
Yeah.
you want to like go into like that CRO retainer with us, like we're building that out too. And we can do that hands-on keyboard. And that's 5,000 a month. And it's unlimited
Wow.
because we have the AI to help us. Think the goal is get everybody tested. We even launched a free A/B testing tool. Like, say you churn on the $100 a month tool because you cannot get to it. You need the one homepage test. Like, we do have a landing page splitter. It like literally just splits 50/50. Doesn't do any of
Okay.
that malarkey like 20/30 or
Yeah.
whatever.
You're like, that's not
But
an option.
right, it just splits 50/50. You're like, you want to go with homepage A, homepage B. You want to go landing page A or collections A, collections B. You can do that in our tool. You have to analyze it in Google Analytics. It's a community service. But
Hmm.
the whole thing is like, it's the mission. It's the mission is to like make it affordable, make it accessible, get people testing so that they can be smart about their business.
I'm so excited about that in your mission. Tell us where people can get in touch to learn more about the services and see what you can do for them.
Well, funny thing, like I'm the only Mia Umanos in the world apparently for like the last decade. Every time I Google myself, that's basically all you can get. And so you can even get my old MySpace,
That's
previously
incredible.
aforementioned. You can see that and see my playlists. So you can actually find me on LinkedIn is the best place.
Perfect.
I'm in there all the time responding to lots of questions. And then you can always check out our website at www.clickvoyant.com.
Love it. Two more questions for you, both I think fun. One, we were talking before we hit record on some of the new products you've been really excited about. So I know I wanted to ask if there was a new product in your life that you wanted to share with the community that you're excited about.
Oh, yes. We have like beauty and skincare clients, but this one in particular, she's not a client. She's actually a startup, which you got to root for the underdog, but it's a company called Just Us. And it was started by two women late in their career, but both came from beauty. And they have like, I skincare products. I told you, I am not loyal. I'm constantly trying new things. This particular product by Just Us, they have like serums and they just absorb in my skin. And I think it's because the products are from the jungle and they're sourced from the rainforests of, and I live in Colorado, which is dry as hell. So I think that these products with my genetics and geographic location just work for me. So
So
check
match
them out.
made in heaven. Great. Love it. Can't wait to include that in the show notes. If you were starting all over again, let's say fresh out of college, what advice would you give yourself?
Oh, girl. You're going to spring this one on me. Stay true to the mission. I think that that's it. Whatever the mission is, even if the mission changes, stay true to the mission because life is a grind when you feel like it's work. But when you're mission focused, then it feels so much more expansive.
That's incredible. I love that. Short and sweet and so precise. Mia, it was great to have you on the show today. Thank you to everyone who stayed till the end. That means you really enjoyed listening to Mia talk and answer the questions. It's super insightful. Feel free to leave us a review, especially of this episode, wherever you're listening. Thank you. And until next time, have a good one.
Bye.